Hello, my name is Cheryl Meyer, otherwise known as Cheryl M. Health Muse, and I am a health coach. I want to welcome you to my podcast, It Feels Good to Feel Good, Future-Proof Your Health. This is a weekly show that will share lifestyle changes that you can make to support your health yourself. Why do I want to share this information with you? 7 years ago, after being a business owner for 20 years, I woke up one morning in horrific pain where every bone and every joint in my body hurt. I went to the doctor. She ran lots of tests, and then she ran some more, and then she ran some more, and finally she called me and announced she was going to give me steroids, but there was absolutely nothing wrong with me and I should seek therapy. I knew something was wrong. I hurt. So she told me I would be on steroids for the rest of my life, and I refused that I was going to have a life of pain and pills. So why was I going to take steroids if there was nothing wrong with me? So I dug in and started researching, and I turned my business over to my staff. I found a functional doctor who confirmed that I had autoimmune disease. By making a series of significant lifestyle changes that I could do for myself, 5 years later, I had returned to relative health. The best part is that I am now 70, and I feel better now than I did when I was 50. I no longer hurt, which is huge. I will always have autoimmune disease, but losing the pain has been amazing. I went back to school at 67 and became a health coach because I want to share everything that I learned with others. And I wrote a book called It Feels Good to Feel Good, Learn to Eliminate Toxins, Reduce Inflammation, and Feel Great Again, as the manual I wish that I had had when I got sick, and my book has won 13 awards. So whether you want to future-proof your health and grow old with dignity and grace without dementia and chronic pain and disease, which you don't need to get, or whether or not you already have a chronic condition like autoimmune disease or cancer or heart disease, and you want to learn about what things you can do to improve your long-term health, or whether you want to improve the health of your families and raise healthy children, because 53% of our children have a chronic condition, I look forward to sharing all this information with you. I will tell you, it truly does feel good to feel good. So let's get started. I look forward to having you join me here every week. And I want to give you hope that if you have chronic pain or chronic disease, you can make changes that will improve your health. And if you don't want to go there, you're going to be fine if you listen to the show and put these things into work. I want to give you information so that you can grow old and have a better tomorrow. So thank you for joining me. Let's get started. Welcome to another edition of It Feels Good to Feel Good. And in this edition, we're going to continue talking about some new things that are being discovered about food, why it's important to buy local, why it's important to eat all the colors of the rainbow. I know I've talked about this in other podcasts, but I really don't think anyone can hear this more than they need to. And when I first started researching 9 years ago, they believed that there were 6,500 phytonutrients in food. They now believe that there are over 25,000 phytonutrients in food. So we're going to get to that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about some of the big families, because phytonutrients are the building blocks that we give as a gift to our body so that when we're regenerating all of our cells, which we do every moment of every day, we're using all of those beautiful, lovely, colorful chemicals that are in plants to use as our building supplies. So I'm going to continue on that theme because I keep learning more and more about it. And as I learn, I want to share it with all of you. I'm going to start with a quote from Dr. Mark Hyman that our structure actually determines our function. And it's dependent upon what we eat for building blocks. The proteins, the fats, the minerals, the vitamins, that's what makes up who we are. And the problem with processed food is that it's 50 to 60% carbohydrate, mostly simple carbohydrate, mostly poor quality carbohydrate, and these refined starches and sugars are the raw materials that we're using. And I went into in one of the last podcasts, do you want to live in the straw house, the stick house, or the brick house? Because you're one of the three little pigs. And when that big bad wolf comes up and wants to blow your house down, you really want to be in the brick house that's been built with all of these gorgeous phytonutrients so that when he blows and he blows and he blows, he's going to devastate the straw house, he's going to devastate the stick house, but your brick house, because you've been eating so many quality ingredients, your brick house is going to stand. And that's what I want you to do. I want you to stop eating the standard American diet, which is called the SAD. And you want to know why it's called the SAD? Because it is one very sad diet. So I want you to stop eating all that processed food and all that fast food, because there's very little in that that your body can utilize as building blocks to build the brick house. And I want you to stop eating all the crap, the carbonated, refined, artificial, processed foods that are in that diet. And to make it worse, we've talked about this, big food, big drug, big chemical, big agriculture have made that food addictive. So it's not so easy to move away from it. But once you move into eating real food again, you will be so happy because your body will congratulate you. I think we're walking around, most of us, feeling lousy and not even knowing it. I was when I got sick. And you'll start feeling fantastic, and your body's going to go, hey, yeah, keep eating this because I'm feeling good. And that's what you get when you eat local from a farm as closest to you as possible that has all those gorgeous phytonutrients with all of its gifts. Your structure matters, not just to hold you all together standing up straight, but every single part of you has a structure and a function. And if you're made out of poor quality parts, you create a poor quality functioning body. So this stuff is really important. And I know people think they're going to be deprived if they give up eating all that crappy food. In all honesty, both my husband and I believe we were deprived when we were eating all that crappy food. Because when you start feeling good, it is so worth it that you're eating real food. And I just went looking for a quote I had seen some time ago that for some reason we seem to think that we should have scientific studies that prove to us that we should be eating real fruits and vegetables. That's how we've made it all these many thousands and thousands of years. As each generation, we were eating real food until we got to my grandparents, which would probably be your great-grandparents because I'm 72. When we got to my grandparents, we started moving into processed and boxed and frozen food. Swanson's TV dinners came out when I was a kid. That changed the world and how we eat forever. And I've gone through the statistics. That's why more than half of our population is sick. And so I want you to really make an effort to figure out how to cook, to figure out how to eat real food, to eat it organic if at all possible, because when you're eating it organic, you're not getting a heavy dose of chemicals with every bite, and that's important. And there are many, many benefits of eating it local if you can. Easy for me to say, I'm in California where we actually make 30% of the United States food supply. It grows here. But even if you're eating it from a CSA box or you're eating it organic and frozen, you need to be aware of what the dirtiest fruits and vegetables are, and those are the ones where you begin to use your organic monies. And if you have to redo your budget so that you can afford it, hey, do you really need that coffee on the way to work? Make it at home. Carry it in a jug that keeps it warm so that you save money in your budget, because it is that important. And you don't want to eat the standard American diet because you don't want to get a standard American disease, which is what I got when I got autoimmune disease. And you certainly don't want to die the standard American death, because it's not a pretty way to go. The other reason that it's really important to pay attention to this stuff that I'm talking about is because it's become more important to me as I've grown older, but I really want to keep my brain for the last 10, 15, 20 years of my life. I want to keep my cognizance. And dementia is now called diabetes type 3 because they're now beginning to connect the dots that sugar leads to dementia. So if you're eating real food, you're also protecting your brain because your brain needs all of these beautiful phytonutrients. So that's your food for thought as I get started, and understand you need this for your structure. This is a quote from Dr. Johnny Bowden, who is a functional nutritionist. Health is multifactorial. That means there's many components to health. All nutrients, all phytochemicals, all catechins, all flavanols, all vitamins, all minerals, all electrolytes, all fatty acids, all work together in a synergistic way to create resistance to disease and a sense of vitality. Nature is an amazing thing. We have all these colors of the rainbow that are grown in our world that they're there for us to eat. And by eating them, there's a synergy that happens with all the colors in our body. And each color has a gift that it gives to us. So you can't just eat one red food. You need diversity, and you need all the things that come in red. And then you also need the yellow and the orange and the green and the aquamarine and the purple and the white. All of them work together. Individually, they don't do the job, but when they get together, there's a little party to make you feel good. So that's why it's multifactorial. No single ingredient can shoulder the burden alone, okay? So there's a lot of conversation right now about the importance of diversity. Back when my grandparents were alive, we had thousands of different kinds of fruit and vegetables. Now we've got very limited amounts. And why is that happening? Because big agriculture is growing things, not because it's a diversity issue. They're not growing it for its phytonutrients, and they're not even growing it for its taste. They're growing it so that it can travel 6,000 miles from someplace like Chile and still not rot by the time it gets to your grocery store so that you can buy it and get it into your body. So we're losing diversity. And I've talked a lot about how important it is, at least when it's in season, to buy from your local farmers markets, because they're still growing species of fruits and vegetables that are not being grown on big factory farms. And you need that diversity. You need the phytonutrients and the vitamins and the minerals that come from that diversity. Your gut bacteria needs all that diversity, and that's how you create a healthy body. Okay? This summer, we spent the summer in Arizona. We went to a different farmer's market every weekend, because if you're a foodie and you're eating really healthy like we do, you're going to find the most variety of fun things to eat at a farmer's market, and every farmer's market offers a different assortment. So make sure you get out and go to the farmers markets in your area. Now, I know some of you go into winter, so you won't have farmers markets. So then you join a co-op, or you get a CSA box, or if necessary, you buy frozen organic food, which has been caught at its peak with phytonutrients. But when you're eating frozen, you're not getting the diversity again. And I want you to get as much diversity as possible. Food is not just calories or energy. Food is information, and it comes with instructions to either upgrade or downgrade your biology with every bite. That's why all of this is so important. We are the most perfect computer that will ever exist. And so food is the code of what we do within our bodies. Are we going to upgrade, or are we going to downgrade our biology? And I have said this before, but it bears repeating now. We are born with a certain genetic code, But epigenetics has shown us that we also have some choice on whether or not that code is realized or not. So let's say, as an example, you have breast cancer in your family and you have discovered that you have the gene for that. You still can impact whether you turn that gene on or you leave it off. Now, a lot of things impact it, some of which are in your control, some of things are not in your control. But everything that is in your control, utilize it to keep your body healthy, because you want to keep that switch off. You don't want to go there. You want to stay healthy. So you probably are asking, if that's true, Cheryl, why do diseases run in families? Diseases run in families because habits run in families. So you want to be the influencer with your family to upgrade and to eat better. And one of the things that has proven this, which is a long-term study, which you usually won't get when it has to do with food, is the Blue Zone Project. Blue Zones is a National Geographic project where they went to the place where the healthiest people in the world live. And then they studied them. And they've come to some conclusions of things that they do in all 5 of the areas that they studied initially. And now they've rolled out their conclusions to new communities because they want to create healthier environments for people to live in. One of the things that they learned is the community is important. And there's a new theory that there are 3 degrees of separation. You know about, I don't know if it's 5 or 6 degrees of separation where you know somebody who knows somebody everywhere in the world. Well, 3 degrees of separation means that whoever is within 3 degrees of you is influenced in their lifestyle by the habits that they have. So if you create a community where people are healthy, not only do you influence that community, but that community influences you within 3 degrees of separation. And people who live in blue zones are healthy because they have a community that supports them. And so you want to be the person who is the influencer for a healthier life. That doesn't mean you're going to dictate to anybody. You're not. First person who read my book cleaned out all her husband's favorite foods from the kitchen and almost gave him apoplexy. You're not going to tell people you're going to eat this way or not, but you're going to influence them by example until they start to adopt your healthy habits, not the other way around. So think of it as code. Your hardware is your genes, and your software is how those genes are turned on or off. Food regulates not only your genes, but also your hormones, your insulin, your testosterone, your estrogen, your thyroid. It alters your brain chemistry. It produces happy chemicals, or it can cause depression. It can trigger addictive patterns, which is one of the problems with eating the standard American diet and all that crap, because it's addictive. And one of the ways it's addictive is it's lighting up the part of the brain that drugs light up, and it's dampening down all of your feel-good hormones. So your dopamine and your serotonin, your insulin is all over the place, which is impacting your mood. You don't want that food to be impacting you because it's going to make you not be so happy. If your dopamine and your serotonin, your happy hormones are working properly, which they will when you're eating real phytonutrients, that's when you feel your best and you're happy. When you get up in the morning to face the world, and that in itself is worth it to me. There's more and more research being done on the phytonutrients. So what I'm going to share with you today is pretty cutting edge, and it's going to continue to grow. And if I'm still doing podcasts, when I learn more information, I will come back and I will share it with all of you. Vital nutrients that plants make are things that our body utilizes to heal. And the reason that the plant makes them is actually to keep him healthy. They repel bugs, they protect them from the environment, they protect them from other animals. I don't know if any of you watched my podcast on trees, but one of the things I was fascinated with when I did that podcast was the mother tree stays connected to her children for their whole life, and she lets chemicals go that are they're not letting them go for us. They're letting them go to keep her community, her children, the other trees around her healthy. And some of them are even chemicals that can cure us of cancer. So it's really great for us to go into the forest and just sit down and be quiet and soak in all those chemicals. The trees are not making them for us, but they've got unbelievable gifts for us. Well, food is the same way. These phytonutrients are in them for the plant, but if we eat them, they've got all kinds of unbelievable gifts for our body in them. And I am forever grateful for what a complex and marvelous world we live in. Our structure, because it's the kind of the beginning point for this podcast, is something that actually determines how well we function. So pay attention to it. I've gone through all the different cells in the body and how quickly they have a shelf life and are regenerating themselves. Well, this is what you need so that they can continue to rebuild. Some rebuild every 3 days, some rebuild every year. They all have a different length of time for their shelf life, but your entire body somewhere is replacing cells every moment of every day. It is the protein and the fats and the minerals and of course the vitamins that make up who we are. So stop with the processed diets already. 50 to 60% of what's being eaten are carbohydrates, and they're simple carbohydrates. So I want you to pull away from eating the sad, very sad diet and start eating real food. And that means you need to learn to cook. And you don't have to be Julia Child. You can do something as simple as steam your vegetables or cut them up, put them on unbleached parchment paper on a cookie sheet and put them in your oven and roast them, which brings out a whole depth of flavor that's fantastic. I like to toss mine in ghee, which has the taste of butter without the milk solids because I'm sensitive to milk. And then I use organic garlic and onion on them, and roasted vegetables are yummy. How long does it take to cut up a vegetable? Toss it in a little bit of ghee and throw it in the oven. Not much time at all. And yet what you're getting as a result of your labor is fantastic to make your body feel good. If you're only eating low quality refined starches and sugars that are the raw materials from processed food, for God's sakes, where do those carbs go? And if they can't become our structure, what do? Well, we burn some of them, but mostly they get turned into dangerous disease, those good old American standard diseases. And then they turn into liver fat. And as I talked in the liver podcast, your liver is your number one cause of heart disease if it's unhappy and unhealthy. And they cause belly fat. So the whole body needs to work together. And if you're not giving it the right stuff, the whole body starts to fall apart. And so this stuff is super important. Not one component alone can shoulder the burden. Remember that. So we're going to talk about diversity, and I'm going to go into the importance of diversity in depth in this podcast. Vegetables and fruits actually use their color to signal what beneficial substances they contain. And I think color is a marvelous thing in nature, period. These colors also are the colors of our ethereal body. And one of my next podcasts is going to be on the chakras, because the colors of food impact the color of our 7 chakras and bring us back into balance. And they also are the colors of our flowers and the earth. And I don't know about you, but color excites me. When I see color, I get a feeling of calm. It makes me happy. I like all the color. I like all the intensity of the color. So this is all about utilizing the diverse color that has a powerful effect on the body, whether we're eating it, we're around it, or we're seeing it. So the key is to eat a diverse array of fruits and vegetables. And I'm going to put a slide up here that will show you the 3,000 plants that our ancestral diet used to have back in those paleo days, and then the low diversity 20 plants that we're eating today because of Big Ag making sure that it can travel 6,000 miles and stay good in your refrigerator for a while. You want to be eating the things that do not last forever, like a McDonald's hamburger that never rots on your kitchen shelf. You want to be eating food that has a shelf life because your cells have a shelf life, and that's what's going to feed your cells. The aim, which is, I think, pretty hard to do, but I'm going to read it anyway. This is from Deanna Minich, who's another functional nutritionist, is to eat 30 diverse plants every week. And you're not going to find them if you're going to the grocery store, even an organic grocery store. You are going to find them, though, if you go to a farmer's market. So that's another reason when you have farmer's markets in season that you go there and you buy the different fruits and vegetables that come from there. And let's say there's a vegetable that comes in a variety of colors. And I'm going to pick cauliflower because most of what we know cauliflower to be is white. But cauliflower comes in gold, cauliflower comes in green, cauliflower comes in purple, and believe it or not, they have some similar phytonutrients, and then they have some different phytonutrients to each other because the color signifies what the gifts of that cauliflower is. This is where the phrase "eat your colors" comes from. And it's important to understand each of these foods has different phytochemicals because they each do different oxidative reactions in your body. In general, the colors you eat and the more colors you eat, the more anti-inflammatory, detoxifying, healing compounds you're actually sucking up. So it's important. The foods are some of the greatest medicine for your health that you can eat. So I want you to start thinking about eating from the pharmacy, and that's F-A-R-M-A-C-Y, not P-H-A-R-M. The magic pill comes from the pharmacy with the F. It comes from the farm, and it's been picked fairly close to when you're going to get to eat it because that's when it has the most nutrition. Now, I just dropped a podcast, so it'll be a couple of weeks ago, but go back and find it where I talk about how long before a vegetable begins to lose some of its goodies or begins to change its form. Corn changes its form. You buy corn from the farm, you shuck it on the way in the door, and then you throw it in water right away because that way it hasn't had a chance to convert itself to simple sugars, and you're getting all the goodies that that ear of corn has. You're also getting unbelievable flavor from that corn that it has lost while it's been traveling halfway around the world. Spinach begins to lose its goodies 3 days after it's picked. Now, most of us don't have the joy of getting spinach 3 days after it was picked and getting that on our plate. So if it's been there longer, it doesn't mean I don't want you to eat it, but because there are still wonderful gifts in that spinach. But if you want the maximum goodies from that spinach, you want to eat it quickly, which means you want to get it right after it's picked. And at farmers markets, they probably picked it the day or the night before, which is fantastic. So think in terms of the pharmacy with an F. Think that that's your medicine box, because it is. Pharmaceuticals don't make you well. They just mitigate whatever the symptoms are that you have. What could actually make you well and what reversed my pain was eating real food and stopping all of the chemicals that I was putting in my body. So it's only when you eat a variety of different colored fruits and vegetables that you're going to get a diverse amount of essential vitamins and minerals. So, as I said, there are lots of different vegetables that are red. And they have different phytonutrients in them. So you don't only want to eat red bell pepper to get your red. You want to eat red bell pepper, you want to eat red tomatoes, anything that's red in the plant kingdom that's edible. You want to eat it because each one of them gives you different gifts. So diversity. Buy as many different things in each color that you can, and then that's what you cook and put into your body. Doesn't mean you don't eat meat. We do eat meat. I am what I call a pagan. We eat meat that eats his own species-specific diet. So I eat beef that eats grass and is finished with grass because I don't want him eating GMO corn that has Bt toxin in it. I don't want the chemicals. But that's what you eat. Food quality matters, and it matters to your body. So you want to eat all the different variety. Now, when you go to a farmer's market, start looking for vegetables you never ate before. I never really learned how to make eggplant before. So on one of the last trips to the farmer's market, I bought long, thin, almost pencils of eggplant. And one of our new joyful tools in the kitchen is an air fryer. And I am loving the air fryer. So I cut these long, thin eggplants into coins, and then I dipped them in egg and a little bit of organic panko breadcrumbs and air fried them with a spray of avocado oil because that's an omega-3 oil and you want to be eating the omega-3 oils. And they are so delicious that I'd rather have that than a French fry. I love to make zucchini sticks in the air fryer where I dip them in egg and then a little bit of panko. And they definitely, to me, taste better than some kind of a chemical fry that comes from a fast food joint. So when you get away from all of the crap, your taste buds come back and real food starts tasting really good. And there are really simple ways to make it so that it does taste good, so that your body starts to crave it. And then that's what you start eating and feeding. Now, this is a quote from a book called How Not to Die. It's one of the books I read last year that I really loved. And it's on the cost of quality fruits and vegetables. By spending just 50 cents more per day on fruits and vegetables, it could buy you a 10% drop in mortality. Now, that's a pretty astonishing statement. The man who wrote How Not to Die was a medical doctor whose grandmother was so sick that they told her she had maybe days or weeks to live. And she said, I'm not ready to go. So they wheeled her into a Pritikin clinic in her wheelchair, and after eating all the glorious phytonutrients in the fruits and vegetables that were part of the Pritikin diet, she almost danced out of that place. She reversed a whole lot of her disease by being there in that environment and eating all the right stuff. And he was in medical school when this happened, and it got his attention. So unlike most people who go to medical school, who at most get half a day in nutrition, he started to learn as much as he could about fruits and vegetables and nutrition. I want to finish this quote because it gets even better. So you think that fruits and vegetables are too expensive? What a bargain to get a 10% drop in mortality from eating fruits and vegetables. Just imagine if there was a pill that could do that for you and only had good side effects. You know, pills, they give us and they take us away. They do some good things by dampening down our symptoms, but most of them have some side effect that's not so hot. So food, by eating food, you're getting the benefits with no bad side effects. How much do you think that the pharmaceutical company could charge for that pill that gave you increased longevity of 10% because of eating or using it? I would bet you it would cost you a lot more than 50 cents. That's why all of this is so important. So we're going to talk about phytonutrients. So here we go. What are common names for phytonutrients? Antioxidants, flavonoids, phytochemicals, flavones, isoflavones, catechins, anthocyanins, I'm going to mispronounce all these things, sorry about that, isothiocyanins, carotenoids, alsulfides, and profenols. Those are all the different phytonutrients that they know of today. And as I told you, they're learning more about this all the time. Where do you get your phytonutrients? They're found in plant foods. So they come from fruits and vegetables and beans and grains. And by maintaining a balanced eating pattern that includes different forms and colors of fruits and vegetables, you're giving your body a diversity of a wide variety of beneficial compounds with all the phytonutrients. So enjoy your fruits and vegetables during every single eating season. We try to make 70% of our plate be fruits and vegetables, or at least 70% of our intake in a day to be fruits and vegetables. Then the other 30% is what you leave for protein and grains. Now, quality food costs more. So if you're buying a lot of vegetables and fruits, it's probably not costing as much per ounce, per whatever, as eating real fruits and vegetables. But quality meat that eats his own specific diet, is more expensive. So I've cut down. I don't eat as much. I eat about the size of the palm of my hand. And then that's about the same price as when I was eating the old icky meat that had all the chemicals in it and the hormones and the stress hormones because he's treated so poorly. Grass-fed, grass-finished animals are actually treated well. And so you're not getting all that, and you have enough stress hormones. You don't need the animals. The health benefits of phytonutrients. There are new experimental studies that are emerging that demonstrate the multiple effects of fruits and vegetables and their phytonutrients, suggesting they might even have a greater role in human health and greater positive results than we have seen to date. Phytonutrients are sometimes called phytochemicals, and those are chemicals produced by plants. Plants use them to stay healthy themselves, which we talked about. They protect them from insect attacks, they protect them from radiation, and they protect them from UV rays. Now, GMOs have Bt toxin grown right in them, which is to protect them from bugs. But that's not what I'm talking about here. Bt toxin, when the little bug bites into it, it blows him up. And unfortunately, it's blowing up all our good bugs, our bees and our butterflies that are pollinating our food at the same time as it's blowing up the bad bugs. Yes, it is protecting the plant from an insect attack, but phytochemicals in most cases are not harmful to the body. There are a few that are poison, so you're not going to buy those when you're buying local fruits and vegetables, but there are some plants that do make poisons, and like hemlock, I believe, is a poison. So you should be maybe aware that that does happen sometimes, but when you're buying fruits and vegetables at the market, you're getting the good phytonutrients that your body will rejoice over. Phytonutrients provide significant benefits the more you eat plant foods and the more variety that you get. And you also get phytonutrients from colorful fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts, tea. Lots of teas have all kinds of phytonutrients, which is fantastic. But again, you want to buy organic tea because that's a heavily sprayed crop and you don't need the poison with every cup of tea, and you don't want to be drinking your tea out of those cute little triangular plastic pouches. You want to drink them loose tea, or you want to drink them out of unbleached paper because that way you're not getting a heavy dose of poison with your tea. Whole grains have phytonutrients, and spices are loaded with phytonutrients. And the other joy of spices is they add complexity to your cooking. So use as many spices as you can because that just all adds to the goodies that your body's getting from them. I don't grow my own food. I'm old. If I got down on the ground, I'm not sure I'd get back up. But I do grow some of my own spices. We have what's become an enormous rosemary bush. I do grow my own thyme. I do grow some of my own mint. We do grow some of our own sage. When it's season, I plant new parsley and cilantro because I love being able to go outside and just pick right from my garden to add some complexity to what I'm growing. So if I don't have it in my garden, I buy organic seasonings and I add them. I use garlic with everything, garlic and onion. They're really good for you because they're prebiotics. They feed your good gut bacteria, so your body needs them. But here's a little tip on garlic. You need to chop it up and also let it sit because the phytonutrient that's in it that's so good for your heart and for your blood pressure, um, it gets better and comes out more if you chop it up and let it sit. And then you don't put it in when you first start cooking. You put it in towards the end so that you don't destroy all that allicin that's in that beautiful plant, so you get the maximum benefit from it. All of these things with phytonutrients affect human health, but are they are essential for life, like protein, fats, minerals, and vitamins. The benefits of phytonutrients are antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activities. They may also enhance your immunity and your intercellular communication. They can repair DNA damage from exposure to toxins. They can detoxify carcinogens. A carcinogen is something that creates cancer in the body. And they can alter estrogen metabolism. So it's important. And the SAD diet has all kinds of things that mimic estrogens. So let's say you're somebody who wants to get pregnant and you're having a hard time, stop eating processed food, for God's sakes, because that has things in it that are mimicking estrogens and throwing your whole body off, which is why you're not getting pregnant. The USDA notes that consuming a phytonutrient-rich diet appears, the more they look into it, to be an effective strategy for reducing cancer and heart disease. Pretty good reason to be eating them. Many phytonutrients give plants their pigments, so a good way to tell if a fruit or a vegetable is rich in phytonutrients is by its color. But it's not always. The darker the color, the more phytonutrients. One of the things I just discovered is that a white peach has more phytonutrients in it than a yellow peach. Now, I like the taste of the yellow peach better, but I'm now buying some white peaches because they're loaded with even more goodies than its yellow counterpart. So that's why you want to eat diversity. Don't just eat one type of the species. And just as an aside, I just read an article that a woman at the Navajo Reservation in Arizona just got her PhD in agriculture because she wants to bring back some of the things that her tribe used to grow before white man came through and destroyed it all. And one of the things she has discovered are some peach trees in the canyons on the reservation that are ancient heirloom varieties of peaches. And so she wants to start growing those because they have way more phytonutrients and gifts in them than our peaches of today have. So as she can find the heirloom seeds and grow them, she wants to grow them again and bring them back so that her tribe can enjoy them and so that eventually we can enjoy them as well. We've lost too much of our diversity for convenience, and we need to bring it back. It's important. And just as an aside, this just popped into my head. There is a place in Norway where there's a vault where they have stored some of every variety of seed that they could find. And it's in a vault, and very few people have the key to get into that vault because they see a day when we're going to need to have those seeds. Big chemical and big ag are even controlling what seeds you get to have as a farmer, and they want to protect the seeds that big chemical does not own so that when there comes a time that we need to start growing all of the diversity again, they have things that can start us off in that direction. So they have saved them. So that's kind of exciting that they're there. Deep hued fruits like berries and dark greens and melons and spices are rich in flavor and aroma, which makes them more palatable. But as I said, some have little color, like onions and garlic, and you don't want to discount them because they have gifts all their own that are different from the bright color ones. Seventh-day Adventists in Loma Linda, California are one of the blue zones, and they live longer than anybody else in the United States. And now there's a couple other places where people are eating to the blue zone criterion because they want to have a healthy community. But as a result of their vegetarian, possibly pescatarian, which means they do eat some wild fish, they have a lower incidence of heart disease, diabetes, and certain types of cancer. It's also been discovered that the Mediterranean diet, which consists of real olive oil, and I'll make a comment on that in a minute, fresh produce, fish, and wine, has been shown to reduce the incidence of grave diseases. I interviewed a naturopath yesterday who works with women with breast cancer, and the diet that she strongly recommends is a variation on the Mediterranean diet. She has a broader definition of what they're allowed to eat, but it's all really good foods, that are loaded with nutrients. And that helps women not only get through whatever the therapy is that they're going through for breast cancer, but it also helps their bodies recover when all of that is over. She called it ringing a bell. Apparently, when you get through all the therapy and you are relatively cancer-free at that point in time, you ring a bell, which signifies that you've made it through it. But there still is recovery that goes on, and she is a huge believer in her modified Mediterranean diet to make that happen. Let's talk about olive oil for 1 second. I have said this a lot, but if you're new to watching a podcast with me, the mafia industry got involved with olive oil. So they started cutting it with omega-6 oils, which are the inferior oils, which are the genetically modified crops that they make oil out of. And so a lot of times when you go to a restaurant, they'll tell you that they've got real olive oil, but I now ask to see the bottle because usually it's an 80% canola oil, 20% olive oil, and it's not that beautiful green color that olive oil is supposed to be. And even the people who are serving in the healthy restaurant are not aware that their olive oil isn't olive oil. So California passed a law that if it says olive oil in California on the bottle, it's olive oil. But good old Italy and Spain weren't about to lose all their money on their olive oil crop. So they now trace the olive from the tree right into the bottle, and they certify it. So if you're going to buy a European olive oil, look for certification so that you know that you're getting olive oil. I used to wonder why there were vast differences in price with olive oils and why some of them were that beautiful green color and some of them were an icky sort of beige color. And it's because of how much olive oil is actually in it. So make sure that you're using real olive oil because the health benefits make it well worth the cost as well, and it tastes better. We actually buy olive oil at our farmers markets from a local olive oil farm, olive tree farm, and it's fantastic. But buy quality whenever you can. Give up other things in your lifestyle so that you always can buy quality, the best quality that you can afford, because food quality matters, and it matters to your health, it matters to your brain, it matters to your body. Canola oil is probably the oil that's used the most, and it's from rapeseed, and it is not good for you, whether it's organic or not. And most of the omega-6 oils, the corn oil, the safflower oil, the vegetable oils, the canola oils, those are omega-6 oils. Now, there's nothing wrong with omega-6 oils. The problem is that that's all we're getting from processed and fast food. So omega-6 oils are here, and the balance of omega-3 oils is down here, 20-1 for the omega-6 oils. They need to be more even to create health in the body. So use the omega-3s because your body's screaming that it wants them, and stop using the omega-6s. Plus, you don't need the Bt toxin or the glyphosate that went into the genetically modified version. Through population studies, we have demonstrated the effectiveness of a diet full of phytonutrient-rich foods, and scientists are still working to understand the specific mechanism of how phytonutrients work. It can sometimes be hard for scientists to link health benefits to specific phytonutrients. All plants contain complicated mixtures of bioactive compounds, and effects like antioxidant activity can be difficult to quantify. Furthermore, each individual plant possesses a unique biochemical makeup. The level of active ingredients in each plant can vary depending upon where the plant was grown. So something grown in California and something grown in Arizona is different in how it's made up, believe it or not, which is another reason to try to buy local, because then you're getting the goodies that are perfect for where you live. It has a unique biochemical makeup. The level of active ingredients in each plant can vary depending upon where it's grown. The amount of fertilizers used, whether they're cooked or uncooked, etc., all changes them. So they're going to be studying phytonutrients for a long time. I want to talk a little bit about the triple standard tests that people are asking me for on Facebook, because those tests are only done by people who have huge amounts of money. So who has huge amounts of money? Big food, big agriculture, big pharma, big chemical. They do the studies. And most often, they're doing the study with some kind of end marketing goal in mind. Little farmers that are making the good stuff don't have that kind of money to run a multi-year study to prove to you that the phytonutrients are really good for you. But science is looking into it anyway. It seems to me that it's somewhat logical anyway that you should be eating them because of all the gifts that are in them. Do you really need a study to prove to you that eating real food is better for your body? I don't think so. So go back to eating real food, get away from the standard American diet and the standard American diseases, and start looking for all the different ways to get phytonutrients into your body. There's thousands of them, although only a small fraction of phytonutrients have actually been studied very closely. So it's going to be years, it's going to be your grandchildren before they find out what all these phytonutrients do. Just know that they're giving gifts to your body. And by eating all this stuff is how I lost the pain of my autoimmune disease. And when I coach people, they start to see pretty quick changes in their body when they start eating real fruits and vegetables. So we don't need a study. We have ourselves to help us judge whether we're eating right or not. And you've heard me say this. I have a conversation with myself every morning when I look in the mirror. How am I feeling today? And if I'm not feeling so hot, I go through my brain, figure out what I did yesterday that wasn't so good, and then I clean it up and go back to eating diversity in fruits and vegetables and clean meat so that I go back to feeling my best, because I like living in a body that doesn't have a lot of pain. So, what causes disease? Phytonutrients are in food, and food does not fit into a pill. So you need the phytonutrients to fend off the disease. That's the bottom line. The standard American diet, in case you're curious, is what's creating type 2 diabetes, autoimmune disease, cancer, fatty liver disease, heart disease, thyroid disease, high cholesterol. I've been doing a lot of research on high cholesterol at the moment. Triglycerides, which are directly connected to sugar in your diet, hypertension. Hypertension, high cholesterol, and triglycerids are all coming from your liver. So if you're eating too many chemicals, or you have too many chemicals in your environment, or you're eating all the bad stuff in the standard American diet, your liver is working overtime and it can't keep up. So clean it up, give your liver a chance, and go watch my 3 podcasts on the liver. Standard American diet is causing obesity, There were studies, real gold standard studies done, and you'll remember the Snackwell phenomenon. So what was the Snackwell phenomenon? The Snackwell phenomenon was Big Sugar paid for a gold standard test that proved that sugar was not the culprit at all. It was fat. So we had the Snackwell phenomenon where we got a lot of very low fat products on the market that made us obese as heck. And we all got much fatter through that because we thought we were eating things that were good for our body, because these tests that were paid for through Harvard and Stanford all proved that we shouldn't be eating fat and that it was just perfectly fine to be eating sugar. Well, it wasn't. And we need fat. We need omega-3 fats for every cell in our body. We need it for our brain. We need it for the cell walls of every cell in our body. And cholesterol, by the way, is not necessarily a bad thing. New thinking is that there are actually 15 different kinds of cholesterol. There's probably more than that. And it's not a battle between good HDL and bad LDL, because some of the LDLs aren't so bad for us. There is a bad form of LDL, and you need to get a particle size test done to find out if you have the bad kind of LDL, which I do. I have small particle LDL. What's wrong with that? It's so small it actually goes through the walls of my arteries, and then it's going into my body and creating havoc. What do you do about it? You eat all the fruits and vegetables with all the phytonutrients so that your body can start to come back to a normalcy. Same thing you do for triglycerides. You stop eating all the sugar because it's the sugar that's creating all the triglycerides. And you'll see the results in your tests after, it's not going to happen overnight, but as you eat this way, your tests start to look better and you start to feel better and you start to get healthier. And your doctor, if he's a conventional doctor, and we need our conventional doctor, he's going to look at your tests and go, what are you doing? I wish all my patients had tests like this. My husband's tests have gotten so good, his doctor just told him, yeah, maybe we need to back off of this a little bit because you're so good. But go for the so good test. It's better for your body in the long run. Even depression comes from eating the standard American diet. The cure begins with eating all the phytonutrients that are available in the rainbow of organic foods. So, we know it's hard to link health to specific phytonutrients, but I'm talking about food. So if you have one of these problems, start cleaning up your food and then see what happens in your body. It's not going to do you any harm, and it could actually give you that 10% increase in longevity that Dr. Greger is talking about in the How Not to Die book. And you have nothing to lose, but you have everything to gain by doing this. So what do all these terms mean? Phytonutrients, polyphenols, antioxidants. It's a broad name for a wide variety of compounds that are found in all the fruits and vegetables. So let's start with beta-glucan. It's found in mushrooms, and it stabilizes and balances the body's immune system because it supports white blood cells. All the different colors of tea have different phytonutrients in them, and they're really healthy for your body. So you're going to buy it organic because tea's a dirty crop, and when they pick the tea, they don't wash it off. They just goes right into the tea bag. So you don't want to be processed with the chemicals that you're drinking. And there was actually an African tea I bought not long ago that was purple, and when you put hot water on it, it turned this incredible shade of purple. Well, it was loaded with antioxidants, so it was sweet, lovely taste, and it was really good to help ward off any kind of cancer in my body, because that's what antioxidants do. So try all the different colors and try all the different diversities of tea. Green teas, there's lots of different kinds of green teas. Drink them all. Keep adding different things into your daily repertoire so that you get the diversity, so that you get all the gifts. Next category is bioflavonoids. They're found in citrus fruits, and they're considered a companion to vitamin C because they actually extend the value of vitamin C in your body. Vitamin C is one of the most important antioxidants. It supports healthy immune response, and it might even protect against pneumonia and sepsis. I like to drink lemon in my water. Try to drink about 60 ounces of water a day. The rule is that you drink half your body weight in ounces. Well, since I'm not a small person, that was a bit too much of water for me, so I try to drink 60 ounces. But your body needs water. It does not need soda or Coke or pop or fruit juice, which my doctor called rocket fuel. It needs water, but by adding a little bit of lemon in your water, you're also adding in vitamin C, which is super good for you. These nutrients have the capability to actually lower cholesterol. And I'm studying cholesterol right now because I have the small particle LDL and I want to make an impact on it. And it has started improving. So the other kinds of cholesterol, if you don't have the small particle cholesterol, may not be bad for you. And understand one thing that made sense to me is mother's milk is loaded with cholesterol because the baby needs it so that he can grow. He needs it for his brain. He needs it for his cells. And so you even need to lower, you need cholesterol for joint support and for joint collagen. So it's important. So as they continue to learn more and more about nutrition, we learn more and more about how to create health in our bodies. We used to know it all. Actually, we didn't know it all. We used to just live this way. And the further we've gotten away from the farm, the further we've gotten away from all the goodies that the farm offers to us. So an average serving of vegetables might cost 4 times more than the average serving of junk food, but what it gives to us is 10, 20 times more. So vegetables are really not more expensive. And the question I want you to ask yourself is not why are vegetables so expensive? I want you to ask yourself why junk food is so cheap. Because all those chemicals taste like real food, but are adding no food value to the product that you're eating. If you're eating all of the vegetables, it actually has 24 times more nutrition than a diet of fast food and processed food. 24 times. That's a pretty good reason to eat real fruits and vegetables unto itself. Some of this I already said because I ad-libbed it. Vegetables net you 48 times more nutrition per dollar than factory farmed meat. That's a pretty impressive statement. And they'd actually discovered that if he's eating his appropriate species-specific diet, he's converting all of those phytonutrients to utilize for himself, and then they pass directly to us. So you know how there's a phrase, you are what you eat? Well, you also are what your animal eats. So make sure that you eat meat that is eating what he was born to eat, and that he's also eating quality food, because what he eats is what you become. If you're vegan, you can eat soy, but you need to make sure that the soy that you're eating is organic soy, because 95% of the soy that is grown right now is genetically modified, which means it's got good old Bt toxin in it, which you don't need. Now, each one of us is different. Vegans can get very powerful about the fact that they want you to eat real fruits and vegetables, and they don't want you eating meat. Every one of us is different. I tried to be a vegan, but because I have had blood sugar problems since my 20s, when I discovered I was hypoglycemic, I just did not feel good. So I eat meat that has been treated extremely humanely. We buy our meat from a rancher in Arizona that loves his cows, and feeds them all the good stuff. They eat grass when he has grass, and then he finishes them off with hops from the organic beer manufacturer up in Flagstaff. And he talks to his cows the entire time that he's raising him, that he loves them, but that he is growing them for food. And there will come a time when he sends them off for slaughter so that they can feed other humans, but that while they're with him, they're going to live the best possible life that they can live. And so my body feels better eating his beef, and it's more delicious than any beef I ever ate from anybody else. So I tried to be vegan, but I couldn't do it, and so this is what I do instead. And I have a podcast with him and with his wife, so you can go back and listen to that because it's also very interesting. All food quality is not the same, so that make sure when you're buying your meat, you're buying it from reputable sources, and that they're treating their animals as humanely as possible. If your intent is to shovel as many calories as possible into your mouth for the least amount of money, then healthy food's going to lose out because you're going to be eating all this stuff that's chemicals, that's cheaper, and that's not going to give your body any goodies. If you're looking for calories and you're not going to shove enough into your body from eating real food. And a calorie is not a calorie is not a calorie. A calorie from a candy bar is not the same as a calorie from spinach. They are utilized the same way, but you can eat a bathtub full of spinach to make up for one little square of chocolate. So it's not the same. So get the majority of your calories from real food where you're going to be getting all the goodies at the same time. And if you're going to try to do it as cheaply as possible, look no further than the produce aisle because that's where you're getting the best price on the best ingredients to put into your body. The next category of phytonutrients are lignans. They mimic the effects of estrogen, so they're considered phytoestrogens. Like all phytonutrients, lignans are found in fruits and vegetables, especially kale, broccoli, apricots, and strawberries. Now, the cruciferous vegetables, all of that you should cut up and let it sit a little while before you cook with it, and the recommended amount of time is 40 minutes. So you cut up your broccoli and you let it sit for 40 minutes, you cut up your kale and you let it sit for 40 minutes, because letting it sit allows all of its bounty to come out so that when you eat it, it goes into your body. Lignans are especially abundant in seeds and whole grains, including sesame seeds, poppy seeds, rye, and oat bran. And the greatest, richest source of lignans are flax seeds. They're associated with preventing hormone-related cancers because of their estrogen-like activity. Research is mixed about their effectiveness in preventing breast cancer, but studies have shown positive results in terms of endometrial and ovarian cancers. The next family is resveratrol. It's gotten a lot of buzz because it comes from the skin of grapes, and large concentrations of it are found in red wine. Grapes are another dirty crop, so if you're drinking red wine, it really should be organic red wine. The best source of resveratrol is grapes, and it's got high concentration in grape skin and red wine, but it's also found in peanuts, grape juice, cocoa, blueberries, and cranberries. And I read an article not long ago that blueberries release all the resveratrol from their skin when they're frozen and then defrosted. So don't be afraid to eat frozen fruits and vegetables that are organic, because they might even be slightly better for you in some instances. You want to eat some of your vegetables cooked, some of your vegetables raw, some of your vegetables that have been frozen, because each one brings out different elements of the plant. Resveratrol's ability to reduce the risk of heart disease through its antioxidant and anti-inflammatory activities is great. If I have what's known as a flare, and anybody out there with autoimmune disease will know what that means. It means that I wake up, I've gained 5 pounds overnight, I hurt, I feel it throughout my entire body. One of the things I take is a liquid version of resveratrol, which helps me to come back to balance. Resveratrol may slow cognitive decline. That's a biggie for me. And in animal studies, it is shown to have neuroprotective activities and the promotion of healthy peptides. It's also being studied as a possible treatment for type 2 diabetes because in animal studies, it has shown to improve insulin sensitivity and glucose tolerance. The best thing you can do if you're diabetic type 2 is to lower your intake of sugar and simple carbs, but resveratrol will also help. Resveratrol is good for heart health, cancer, lung health, and inflammation. Next family are carotenoids, and there are more than 600 of them, so I'm sure they're going to be discovering different things that the carotenoids do for many years to come. They're the yellow, orange, and red pigments in plants. The most common in a Western diet are alpha-carotene, beta-carotene, beta-cryptoxanthin, lutein, which is good for your eyes, zeaxanthin, and lycopene. Lycopene comes from tomatoes. Each of these carotenoids has a distinct set of actions, benefits, and originating fruits and vegetables. It can be found in carrots, yams, sweet potatoes, papaya, watermelon, cantaloupe, mangoes, spinach, kale, tomatoes, bell peppers, and oranges. In order to be properly absorbed, they need to be eaten with a fat. So that's where your omega-3 fats come in, and you should be eating omega-3 fats with every meal because they're that good for you. So don't eat a no-fat diet. Eat omega-3 fats because your body needs them. Carotenoids are associated with antioxidant activity, eye health, immune system activity, intercellular communication, and reduced risk of cancer and cardiovascular disease. And the body can convert these into vitamin A, and it's associated with anti-aging and immune system function. They're also really good for macular degeneration. So the lutein is really good for that, so you want to make sure you're getting them. Next one up is curcumin. I now use curcumin instead of any over-the-counter pain medication because they all have gifts and they also take away. If you're taking Tylenol, it is really hard on your liver. I was allergic to aspirin, so I took Tylenol my whole life, and I have been doing a lot of work to bring my liver back to balance. If you're taking aspirin or ibuprofen or Aleve, that's really hard on your gut. So I take curcumin. It's the gift that gives a gift. It's really good for my gut. It's good for my brain. It's good for my pain. I don't have any more pain with autoimmune disease, and it's partly because I take 2 curcumin, which is the active ingredient of turmeric, every morning. And it's also a member of the ginger family. It has a distinctive yellow color. It needs to be in a combination with black pepper so that it gets released to its maximum. And it's been used as a medicinal remedy in India for centuries. It can relieve flatulence, rather a neat thing to have it relieve, and it can cure, they believe, Alzheimer's disease and cancer. Animal studies have shown good results when looking at oral administration to inhibit the spread of mouse, stomach, liver, and colon cancer, and they are now investigating the effect in humans. I can tell you, it takes care of my pain almost instantly, so I love it. It's an effective anti-inflammatory agent and antioxidant. It can also affect carcinogen metabolism, helping the body get rid of toxic compounds and aiding in combating cell growth for cancer and tumors. So obviously, curcumin is something that the liver really loves. Based on successful animal trials, it's been suggested that curcumin could aid in inflammatory diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, as well as cystic fibrosis, and then again, Alzheimer's disease. It can help lower LDL cholesterol levels and increase HDL. So you want to be using your curcumin. Use turmeric as a seasoning in your cooking and then take it as a supplement. But check with your doctor first. I am not a doctor, so I can't be advising you on what supplements you can take. I'll tell you what supplements I can take. It has shown to lower the low density LDL. Ellagic acid is the next phytonutrient found in raspberries, strawberries, pomegranates, and walnuts, and it's been proven in many clinical studies to act as an antioxidant and anticarcinogen in the gastrointestinal tract. This nutrient has been proven to have anti-proliferative effects on cancer cells. The best known of the carotenoids, beta-carotene, is converted into vitamins A, which enters the liver and then has positive effects on eyesight and has been proven to decrease cholesterol levels in the liver. Lycopene, which is found in tomatoes, decreases the risk of prostate cancer as well as protects heart disease. Lutein, which is found in blueberries and members of the squash family, is important for healthy eyes and supports your health and prevents coronary artery disease. And then vitamin C, which keeps our immune system strong, speeds wound healing, promotes strong muscles and joints, and it's scattered throughout the spectrum of fruits, most commonly associated with citrus fruits. Potassium, which is the nutrient most Americans are deficient in, does great things for your heart and lowers blood pressure. And another great food component that most people don't get enough of is fiber. When you eat your fruit and your vegetable, you want to eat it with its fiber. If you're juicing it only to make juice, you're losing all the benefits of the fiber. Ellagic acid is also called a tannin, which is found in raspberries, strawberries, blackberries, cranberries, grapes, pomegranates, and walnuts. And it's associated with antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, and anti-cancer activity, reducing blood pressure and arterial plaque. According to Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, scientists are now hypothesizing that ellagic acid enhances detoxifying enzymes in the liver and inhibits enzymes that encourage metabolism. Combined, these actions cause carcinogens to be removed before they can be metabolized. Another hypothesis is that ellagic acid changes the cellular structure of tumor cells. Both of these hypotheses have been supported in animal studies but have not yet been proven in humans, so that will be coming somewhere down the line. Another potential benefit from ellagic acid is improved glucose metabolism. There's your diabetes. That means that less glucose enters the bloodstream, so that's beneficial for type 2 diabetes. Then there's the flavonoids, another family of phytonutrients. They are responsible for the colors in the skins of fruits and vegetables and help stop the growth of tumor cells and potent antioxidants, and they actually reduce inflammation. One of my favorite flavonoid is quercetin. Now, I've had a terrible hay fever problem my whole life. I've taken every hay fever pill known to man. They all made me fall asleep, didn't matter what they were, but the one I was the best on is the one that most people fall asleep on, which is Benadryl. I can take Benadryl, most people cannot, but then I read that Benadryl was causing dementia. I read an article about quercetin, which is considered nature's natural antihistamine, and I will tell you it works better than any hay fever pill ever worked on me. It's also really good, by the way, if you go to a holistic vet because your dog has skin problems. Quercetin is great for your dog. Quercetin is found in apples, onions, and citrus fruit, and also prevents LDL cholesterol oxidation. It helps the body cope with allergens and other lung and breathing problems, and it is nature's natural antihistamine. Here's the whole list where you can find it. Apples, onions, coffee, grapefruit, tea, berries, chocolate, legumes, red wine, broccoli, cabbage, kale, leeks, tomatoes, ginger, lemons, parsley, carrots, buckwheat are all samplings of where you can find this flavonoid. I love this stuff. And I read somewhere it's the gift that gives to my gut. It's the gift that gives to my kidneys. It's the gift that gives to my liver. It's the gift that gives to my brain. It's the gift that gives to my lower intestine. It only has good benefits. So what's not to love about it? On a large-scale 25-year study published in the Archive of Internal Medicine, it looked at men across 7 countries and found that flavonoid consumption was significantly associated with longevity. So I think this is a good place to stop. I have a few other phytonutrients to discuss, but we'll pick that up in the next one. In the next one, what I want to be talking about mostly is chakras, the colors of the chakras, and how they relate to the colors of our fruits and vegetables. But one question I want you to ask yourself as we close this session is, do you want to be made out of Doritos, or do you want to be made out of grass-fed steak? Do you want to be made out of Coca-Cola, or do you want to be made out of blueberries? Because our structure, which is where I started this, which determines our function, is dependent upon what we eat for building blocks. The protein, the fats, the minerals, that makes up who we are. So make sure that what you're putting in your body is what the building supplies are that you want your body to be using, so that you're not made of Doritos or some chemical French fry. Make sure that you're getting all these beautiful, colorful, vibrant phytonutrients for your body to function on. The great news is we can reset our biochemistry and those sugar cravings, and we can take back our health. We have the power to do that. So the more you avoid sugar and refined carbohydrates, which turn into sugar in your body, the more your body recognizes the natural sweetness in healthy foods, and then utilizes the gifts that those foods have to create future health for your body. So we'll stop there. Thank you for joining me. I hope you learned things that you didn't know before. I'm learning as I do research for each one of these podcasts, and I am a living example that some of this stuff at least worked on me. So give it a try. There is no downside for you to converting to eating more fruits and vegetables, especially if they're organic, and they just might have the same benefits for you that they have had for me. So I'll see you next time when we start talking about chakras. There's going to be a couple of my individual interviews with people who have owned their health and come back to wellness in between this and the next one, but all of them are valuable. So listen to them, because you will learn something from each of my guests as well as from each of my podcasts. Thank you for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Hello, could I see a show of hands if there's anybody out there like me who's tried to lose weight their whole life and not been successful? So you've tried all the different diets available. You've tried Weight Watcher. You've tried Jenny Craig. You've tried all the New York Times bestsellers. And the last time you did it, you started off great, just like all the other times. And you started losing weight, and then all of a sudden you fell off the horse. And before you know it, you're eating fast food and processed food again with all that sugar, and you don't even know why. And in the end, you've gained more weight than where you started out. So you now are beating yourself up that you just don't have the willpower to win. If that's you, I want to address the elephant in the room, because 9 years ago I got autoimmune disease and started researching because I didn't want the pain that came with the autoimmune disease, and the added benefit was I lost the weight along the way. So let me tell you what happens. Big Food doesn't want you to win. They've rigged the system. They've put so many chemicals into fast food and processed food that they light up the brain like a pinball machine. It's the same part of the brain that goes off for cocaine and heroin, and you feel great when you eat that food, but it's not making you feel good, and you're starving your body for nutrition because it's loaded with empty calories, so you're getting fat eating that food, and it's not giving your body what you need. And it's turning off all your own feel-good hormones of serotonin and dopamine and even your insulin, which keeps your moods even. But worse than that, there's two little hormones here at the back of your neck called ghrelin and leptin, and they don't work, and they regulate your appetite because all those chemicals have subdued them, so you don't even know when you're full. So what did I learn to do instead? I'm eating the GLAD diet, loaded with all the phytonutrients that my body needs to be healthy and to thrive and to boost my immune system and to ditch the pain. And along the way of eating all this live food, I lost 60 pounds without dieting. You see, I was starving my body for nutrition when I was eating the standard American diet, and now that I'm giving my body all those beautiful phytonutrients, it's not holding on to it anymore, so it's just dropping it automatically. So don't eat the standard American diet. I don't want you to get a standard American disease, and I certainly don't want you to die the standard American death. Instead, start eating the GLAD diet, because by eating all those beautiful phytonutrients, you will be healthier and you will live long and thrive. Thank you.